Hey, what's up, YouTube? We are here with the first official 66% food video. Um, so hopefully this channel will have cooking videos in the future, and hopefully sometime soon we'll be reviewing some food places around the area that we live at. But cooking will get to in the future eventually once hopefully have my own kitchen and we can start that up. But today I'm gonna be going over my top 5 cookbooks. I have a decent collection of cookbooks, but definitely want a lot more. But these are pretty much the top 5 I own because that's really the only ones I've gone through. Let's get right into it. Starting out hot and heavy with On Food and Cooking by Harold McGee. This is one I definitely haven't got into as much as I would like to. It's kind of like reading a dictionary. Not really, but it's kind of all of the food science behind cooking and is one of the most knowledgeable cooking books of probably all time. It goes so in depth on everything and will kind of teach you any science related thing that has to do with food. There's quite a few different sections to it. I have read all the milk section. It's been a while, but pretty interesting. Everything is like kind of cool, but I mean it's definitely heavy stuff and not something most people would enjoy sitting down with all day. I hope to at some point, but haven't really gotten around to it, but hopefully I'll get into it. See the contents, but this is kind of all the information or categories that are in it. It starts off with milk and dairy, that's why it's the one I've read. But I mean, if you want to learn any science related things to do with cooking, this is the book. Most cooks or pro cook chefs know about this book and have stated how good this book is, because it's the one they use at some of the most popular culinary schools in the country, like the CIA or ICE, Institute of Culinary Education, and Culinary Institute of America, not the other two. But moving on to the next one, we got 6 Seasons by Joshua McFadden. This one's all about vegetables. As you may guess, it goes into the seasons on each vegetable. So it tells you which ones are in season, which ones are, in season. But it gives you a bunch of different recipes for each vegetable, like it must be in carrots right now. There's celery, broccoli and sausage. I was at a bookshop today and did just see he has another one like this, but it's pasta. But I think it might have still been veggies, but just the veggies along with each of them being pasta. But if you go to farmers markets, have a garden, anything nice, this will give you a lot of ideas of what to use with your extra veggies. And it is a very cool book and pretty book, and if you need veggie ideas, this is the one. The next one is Estella. This is a restaurant in New York, and it's finer dining, but it's definitely not like fine dining. It's somewhere you would want to like celebrate with friends. It would definitely be a nice experience to go to. Here's just one. I would very much enjoy being here someday. It would be such a great place to just like hang out with your friends, have some drinks, have some nice food. Here's monkfish with Brussels sprouts and ham broth. Like everything in here, it doesn't get too like technical, like some of the ingredients you might not have are going to be harder to have or might be more expensive, but it's not like anything insane. I just think that it has a lot of heart and all the cooking is good cooking, or at least I haven't tried it, but it seems like it's good cooking. And I want to say I have read through this whole thing, but it's been a little while too. I want to say I know he's an immigrant from somewhere, but I forgot which country. Uruguay. That's where he's from. Head chef. But I really enjoy this. I'll probably flip through it a little more sometime soon. But it's very interesting and just hearty cooking that kind of gives you good vibes. That's really the main way I can describe it. The fourth one, we have Eating with the Chefs. So if you don't know, restaurants do a family meal or it's pretty much just a meal before the shift or sometime during prep or something that they'll sit down, usually have a meal together, because most chefs are there pretty much all day, so they kind of need some time to get those nutrients in, and normally it'll be something hearty to give them that energy to get through the shift. But this book is kind of just all of those family meals at some of the best restaurants in the world. One of the first, I'll just, alright, I guess I can show the list. I hate cameras and mirror effect. I always do it wrong. But it's got some really great ones. Chez Panisse, French Laundry, El Cellar de Can Roca, Blue Hill at Stone Barns, Attica, Noma, some of like the most popular restaurants in the country or in the world. But then it just tells, so a lot of their meals are like simpler because it's just not their expensive ingredients, it's just the ingredients they kind of have extras of, so it's just useful using those ingredients so they don't get thrown away. And it's just hearty cooking with nutrients, and like the first ones are butter chicken and Australian tom yum. Just because they need something to eat, so it's gonna be whatever's in the, like this one, pork parts bolognese, just because they got extra pork parts, they need to do something with it, and the chefs need to eat. So just gives you a bunch of ideas, and it's kind of cool to see what all these different restaurants from around the world are serving to their chefs, who then serve all these amazing foods. And the last one, or the fifth one that I got, is the Noma Guide to Fermentation. I have the Noma 2.0 book too, which is also really cool to see, but this one really kind of gives you a whole in-depth look at fermentation, which is such a cool thing. Because I think it starts out with lacto fermentation. Well, it starts just talking about what is fermentation. But you get into lacto fermentation, you get into koji, which is like mold that grows on rice that's healthy to eat and stuff. Like in the Noma 2.0 book, they got a mold pancake, which Noma, I guess, if you don't know, is considered for many years one of the greatest, or was considered the greatest restaurant in the world. It definitely does some funky things, and was very expensive, or still is. It's still around. You may have heard the head chef step down recently because he was kind of forced, or he helped open it and he was like a co-partner, but the restaurant industry is pretty rough, and he was known for sometimes like being hard on his employees or abusing them or hitting them or yelling at them and that kind of sort of thing. So some former employees kind of mouthed their feelings about it when they had it pop up in LA. So kind of with all that discourse, he resigned, and Noma's continuing, but just he's not at the head of it. This is a very popular situation in the food industry or restaurant industry, and it's not too surprising. Is it right? Obviously not. I do think he was on like a path, or at least it seemed to like bettering himself and trying to get away with that. Like he knew it wasn't right. It just kind of came out of him sometimes, which isn't an excuse to be belittling your employees, but it happens quite a bit. He did lead the way for a lot of changes in the food industry. Like El Bulli was another restaurant which he worked at, which was kind of the big restaurant of modern gastronomy or fine dining, that cool kind of stuff. They did a bunch of new things, and he kind of continued it with Noma, and they've done a bunch of new things that has changed the food industry or fine dining. And this book kind of, fermentation is kind of one of their big factors, and it does such cool things. They actually just came out with a new book that I hope to get soon. It was the Noma Guide to, I think, flavor. I think that's what it's called, but it's like, looks a little pink and it's kind of the same design. Should be very interesting. The Noma 2.0 book is good too. It's just their recipes, which they're all kind of like real natural. They're from Copenhagen, so it kind of uses ingredients from that area. But he did a lot of changing, and although he's probably not the best dude to work under, and Noma is known to have hard working conditions for little or no pay, which is still popular around the world, it was still a big restaurant and did a lot of change for the food industry. Like, the abuse is kind of still, it's getting a lot better in the US just because it's become so well known. I think I got 1 second. I got this book, which kind of was the result of acknowledging what goes on in the food industry, all the drugs and abuse and overworking of employees. Anthony Bourdain kind of led the way to those things changing, and especially in the US, a lot of restaurants are healthier now and better working hours, better pay, that kind of thing. Still happens a lot. I actually just saw, I follow one dude. He's got a good following, but his name's Ryder Mansky. He just posts sometimes. But he was actually posting about the restaurant industry, and he works in the restaurant industry, and about how old chefs are kind of saying new ones aren't very passionate. But he was kind of just saying they are passionate, and I'm very passionate about food too, but they're just not willing to put in those long hours for little pay and to be abused and yelled at all day, because why would you want to do that with your whole life? Which I very much agree. And I expect to work long hours in the restaurant industry in my future, but I do not want to put up with that sort of thing, because that is not very worth it, and that takes the passion out of a lot of people. Getting back into the cookbooks, those were my top 5, but I have a few that I'm looking forward to getting into that I've gotten recently or just haven't had the time to get into yet. First one, Beyond the North Wind. It is a Russian cookbook, and I think looking at it, like, Russian food, no one really talks about that much. You kind of just hear beets, vodka, which, I mean, they got a lot of stuff that's kind of really crazy, because they got all that cold weather, and they're still in that European, Asian area. That it's just kind of cool seeing what they do, because you don't really ever hear about it. But, like, Russian food should be out there too. A lot of countries you don't really hear about much. Got some soups, which would make sense with that cold weather. They do have some pretty Russian things. I know there's one section where it's some infused alcohols, which maybe we'll put to the test one day. Future cooking video. But really interesting, cool to see the different types of cuisines. Oh, that was by Dara Goldstein, by the way, if you want to look it up at all. And it's Beyond the North Wind. Next one, The Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking by Marcella Hazan. I could be saying some of these names wrong, but who knows. This is kind of the book that it's the Essentials of Italian Cooking. This is the 30th anniversary edition, but it's kind of the book teaches all about Italian cooking, and obviously big thing, pastas, gnocchi, risotto, those kind of things in here. Shows you the doughs, kneading, the basic stuff, and then just kind of how to cook everything, some ingredients, sliced pasta roll with spinach and ham filling. I hope to get it through this sometime soon and go into it, because Italy, obviously a lot more known than Russian, but I still don't know as much as I should, and I want to learn more. This next one I got for $2 at a thrift store, and it is Everyday Cook by Alton Brown. If you don't know Alton Brown, I feel like you should if you're in America and have seen any cooking show, because he did Iron Chef for a long time. He has his own cooking shows and stuff, but this is just him. This is like his everyday cooking and breakfast carbonara. It kind of just chilaquiles. Goes breakfast food, other food stuff he has in the pantry. Smokey the meatloaf. It's just Alton Brown, cool dude. Pretty interesting dude sometimes, but it should be a good book because I like Alton Brown. I recently watched his last meal on Mythical Kitchen, which is a great series. Sorry, my screen's went black. Hopefully that kept recording. Which is a great series. They just have celebrities on who tell them what their last meal would be. They provide that, and then they ask them a buttload of questions about their life, and Alton Brown was a really good one. They do well. Josh, the interviewee and head of the Mythical Kitchen, does really well. He's really fluent and eloquent with his questions and wording, and both of them in that episode were so smooth with their answers and just talking, and it felt so nice. And that was probably one of my favorite ones of the last meals that I've watched. But it's a great series. Maddie Madison was another one that I really loved. Also tells you about the restaurant industry, and one of my favorite parts was him talking about drugs, because big part of a lot of restaurant people do drugs, and he was one of them, and he almost died because of it. And the part of that video, he's like, hey, don't do drugs, but live your life and do a little drugs. Which we'll see how that goes in my life, but hopefully no drug addict here. The final book or books I will be talking about is Mastering the Art of French Cooking by Julia Child. Probably one of the most popular cookbooks of all time because it's Julia Child. Any French cooking in the U.S. pretty much got started because of her, who taught all about it, and she's pretty famous. Just goes into a bunch of techniques, sauces, foods. This is a 2-volume set. Got it for my birthday from my mom, and should be a very fun to go through because Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, those two, James Beard, those three kind of made the way for a lot of cooking and are very cool and fun to watch. Oh, I actually do have one more that I also got at a thrift store, but a little bit less of an actual book and more just Scandinavian recipes. I am primarily Norwegian, a little Swedish. I don't know what else, but those are the main two. This one kind of just seems like growing up had that like family church cookbook album of just local people that brought foods to church potlucks with my grandma, and it was just filled with their recipes. That's what this reminds me of. It just reminds me of simple Scandinavian foods that maybe I'll get to cooking one day. Maybe a few videos of that. We got grape juice pudding, Danish apple turnovers, herring, fish chowder, fish balls, Swedish cookies, sandbakels. That I will be using because sandbakels were at all of our Christmases, so that should be fun. Overall, hope you guys enjoyed. Please check out our other channels if you have not yet. There'll be a link below. Future, more food reviews, more cooking, hopefully cooking videos, and hopefully you come back next time. See ya, and have a great rest of your day.